My name is Joe Palmatier, and I'm going to be discussing a heavy but very important topic of missing and murdered Indigenous women. I'm going to be analyzing it as a social issue as well as a crime issue. I got introduced to this topic through a novel called There by Tommy Orange, in which there is a scene where the narrator, Blue, wants to hitchhike home, and her friend Geraldine doesn't want her to and tries to stop her by asking her if she knows how many Indian women go missing every year. Blue doesn't, so she asks the same question, and Geraldine says, "No, but I heard a high number once, and the real number's probably even higher." For starters, Indigenous women are much more likely to experience violent crime than any other demographic. However, hard data is difficult to come by because of systemic issues. 4 out of 5 Indigenous women have already experienced violence in their lifetime, and 5,712 missing persons cases were for Indigenous women and girls in 2016 alone, with the murder being the third leading cause of death among the demographic. There are plenty of systemic issues with law enforcement, most of which stem from the fact that reservations do not follow federal law, and this creates a lack of connection between federal and reservation law enforcement. And out of those 5,712 cases that we just discussed in 2016, only 116 of them worked their way up to being officially reported by the United States Department of Justice. Onto the social aspect of things. There is a massive lack of media coverage for Indigenous women. They're much less likely to be represented by any form of media, let alone national or international coverage. And media coverage is one of, if not the most important factor in solving a missing persons case. And this leaves the family and friends of those missing alone in their attempts to raise awareness. And this issue of imbalance has been brought into light recently by the Gabby Petito case. To preface this slide, I'd just like to say that none of this information is meant to take away from the tragedy of the case or to take away from the good things that the media did do for the case. However, it definitely raised questions over the ethics of major media coverage in missing persons cases. One thing that's been brought up is the term missing white women syndrome was coined 20 years ago and refers to the imbalance in media coverage for white women compared to women of color. For example, in Wyoming, where Gabby Petito was tragically discovered, only 18% of murdered Indigenous women received state or local media coverage, compared to 51% of cases covered for white homicide victims. And for social media reference, on TikTok, posts using hashtag Gabby Petito received 1.8 billion views, whereas posts using hashtag MMIW, which stands for Missing and Murdered Indigenous Women, have only received 266 million views. The government has been taking some steps in the last couple of years, and one of those is a handful of states creating task forces to combat the issue as their sole focus to avoid some of those systemic issues. Other states have created political offices as well as study committees that are designed to address the issue head on. And some states even have laws being made to increase training for state police surrounding MMIW. And also, Biden issued an executive order at the beginning of his term, which was essentially a commitment to more of these policies and laws that are designed to increase awareness and decrease the lack of connection. All of this has also happened since 2019, which shows how young the movement is. A lot of people believe that it's gaining so much traction due to the historic amount of Indigenous women in political offices and running for political offices. There's also been an increase in social activism in the matter. In the last couple of years, there's been an increase in protests and marches and other forms of demonstration. There are also plenty of groups out there with information on the matter. One of them is IndianAffairs.org. They have a great resource page that has anything from hotlines to support groups and places you can donate and find more information. And red is the official color of the MMIW campaign, The reasoning for this is because some tribes believe that spirits are only capable of seeing the color red. So when they wear the color red, they're intending to guide the spirits back home and allow them to be laid at rest peacefully. And that's why I added the top left picture. The bottom right picture is a picture of a woman who has recently been running marathons and half marathons with body paint and face paint. The red hand you see over her mouth is meant to indicate all of the mouths that have been silenced on the matter over the last decades and centuries. Finally, what can you do to make a difference? There are plenty of organizations that you can donate to. They also have merchandise if you want to double down and have it act as raising awareness in your daily life. And if you don't have money to donate or get merchandise, you can always use social media. It's one of the most helpful things. There's an Instagram page and a Facebook group down here, and you can always follow hashtag MMIW on any social media, and posting things on your stories goes a long way as well.